Hey everyone and welcome. In this new video where I'll show you the best settings for OBS. So this is not for the sources and scenes, it's mostly for the settings themselves. Of course, language is your favorite, whichever you understand best. I would always go for stable anyway, although it doesn't really matter now because this one is disabled either way. This stuff, there's always personal preference. Snap sensitivity, it's mostly for this window, but you can set it also to 1 if you really want, but it's way too precise probably. System tray enabled, yes, I have it. Minimize to system tray when started, I would say so, but I haven't been using OBS for a while to be fair, so like I just started recently. Theme, whichever you like, style, same. Font size, that doesn't matter. So starting with Twitch and YouTube, if you have, just do not ever use enable enhanced broadcasting. It's just bad, and use this one. So now to output. So this is the only audio encoder we have, and this is the only encoder we have for NVIDIA. This is for AMD, at least for the streaming. Rescale output, I wouldn't say so honestly, although probably should set it back to 1440p. I always recommend constant bitrate. I wouldn't go for variable bitrate. Lossless for streaming is like too way too expensive in resources. Keyframe interval, so you can leave it to 0 or just 1. So of course the higher the number, the least effect on the chip CPU it will have. Preset, I mean, since I have a pretty beefy PC, I decided to go for the best quality. Otherwise you can go to the medium, it's probably the best one. Tuning, ultra low latency, this is of course again for streaming. Multipass mode, 2 passes. Profile high, not any of the other two. I decided to keep these two on, and B frames you can also lower it, but I would leave it as is. So recording, I wouldn't go for this one to be fair, just standard recording path, whichever you like. I decided to use this one, although if it like the program crashes or anything, you will lose your recording. So you could either use the MKV, or I think hybrid MP4 also does it, same as for fragmented MP4. You might lose some of your recording but not all of it. So if you have any GPU starting from the 40 series to the 50 series of NVIDIA, you should use actually NVENC-AV1, which is the best encoder, like uses less resources and gives the best quality possible. Otherwise, for any other GPU, of course talking about NVIDIA, HEVC, you can also use the stream encoder, but not really. I do not know which one is the best for AMD. I haven't ever used a card, AMD card, so I wouldn't know. So X264 is mainly for people that do not even have GPU, but you might have a second, like a streaming PC and a gaming PC. You could use this one if you only have a CPU and an integrated graphics, or if your GPU crashes the program somehow, you have an old GPU like a 1060 and you're using bitrate too high, you might wanna go for this one again, which uses mostly CPU. Rescale output disabled. These settings, honestly, you can find the commands somewhere on the internet. I'm not really an expert on this. Rate control, yet again, constant bitrate, always this is mine for the recordings, like local recordings. Yet again, all the same settings. Oh, I didn't know that was this one, to be fair. I forgot about it, but I wouldn't use it. Here you cannot change the profile, I don't know why. I turn this one on. Oh, I did disable this one. To be fair, like, I mean, it says it here. It basically adjusts the bitrate by looking at the future frames, but to be fair, like, it costs increased GPU usage and latency, which is something you wouldn't want for streaming, which is why I also disable later on. I wouldn't even use it on local recordings. B-frames 0 on my recording. No, just don't do that. So for the audio, I'm mostly using track 1. To be fair, I will go for 192. So this doesn't really matter, honestly. Even at 96, 128, there's no difference. I just did it because that's what I'm using currently. So as 192 kilobit per second. So replay buffer is what I suggest to use like most of the time, just because you can delete the recording by not saving it. Instead, with the start recording, you will have either you Alt F4 on the program, which is fine, or right click, exit, and go to the task manager and so on. Otherwise, if you press stop recording, it will actually save the recording. If you, I don't know, messed up something, there's no point really. So, which is why I'm using replay buffer most of the times. And I set it to 3,600 seconds, so 1 hour. I do not think anyone records for more than that, but you never know. So audio, this is like a slight difference. It's fine. Channels, stereo, yeah. Desktop audio, default. There's no desktop audio too for me. Mic default as well. Decay rate, I've wanted to slow, but there was not much of a difference. Peak meter is what you can see in the here, I think. Monitor device, cares. This is something I don't have. Hotkeys, you might wanna enable hotkeys, and this is the delay to when the hotkey actually starts working. So video, whichever resolution you're using, just I don't know why it goes like that, but anyway, I just mashed it both here. So on the fractional, you could set it to 240, 241. Wait, what's the maximum? 300? Yeah, you can go higher, probably 500 too. The problem is it will not record the way you think. So I wouldn't use this one ever. Common FPS values, you will only be forced to use maximum 60 FPS. I always recorded 120. It doesn't go any higher. So that's about it. Hotkeys. So I have an Elgato Stream Deck, the XL, but I'm not using it honestly because I'm not streaming nor doing anything else. So I just press the buttons with mouse. But you should always use hotkeys, honestly. Accessibility, I mean, this is just if you want to change some colors, I don't. So yeah, important settings now. Process priority high. Render, I mean, you cannot change it. I decided to go for MV, although you can also go for this one or i420. But yeah, MV is better for like if you wanna go for a mix on streaming and also local recordings. Color range limited. Otherwise, when you go to full, you will have the recording. It's gonna be too dark. Like literally everything that is black will become even blacker somehow, which I don't know, but it does happen. So do not go for sRGB. Go to Rec 709 for if you wanna go for streaming and recording as well. Here is just like how you want to format the file. I didn't even bother. It's fine. Like I always know what file I'm using anyway. This is for the streaming. If you get disconnected, and you will have a delay to retry 2 seconds for 25 times, so 50 seconds technically, that total time that it will take. I didn't touch any of these. You could use this one though, like, and network optimizations, I never really tried it, I didn't need it. This is fine, and never disable hotkeys otherwise, like if you are on the OBS main window or you're not in the main window, it will disable them, which no one should care. So one thing I will say is that, so this is not too expensive, let's say, like not too heavy to record at, to be fair, but this might be depending on your connection, same as all these other presets. So these are for the lowest latency, always, wait, remember this one, lowest latency and best quality, possibly. Bitrate at 8000 is pretty high. You need a good connection. I have 200, was it 200 megabits in upload and 800 something in download, so 8000 kilobit per second is fine for me. If you have anything less than that, I mean, even 100 can support this like stably. The problem is if you have anyone else connected to the same router, you will have problems. I mean, unless you do all the tricks in the router settings to prioritize your PC, your IP, and so on. If you do not have such possibility to, like, you cannot do this stuff, I would go for either 6000. It's a pretty good one, pretty easy to also do. But yeah, for me, 8000. Actually, I would want to go for 10,000, but I'm not streaming, so it's fine. And yes, these are, in my opinion, the best settings you can use for OBS.